All right, let's keep going on our equations. So the school librarian, Mr. Marker, knows the library has 1,400 books, but wants to reorganize how the books are displayed on the shelves. Mr. Marker needs to know how many fiction, nonfiction, and resource books are in the library. He knows that the library has 4 times as many fiction books as resource books, and half as many nonfiction books as fiction books. If these are the only types of books in the library, how many of each type of book are in the library? So first we're going to draw a tape diagram. So the library has 4 times as many fiction as resource, and half as many nonfiction as fiction. Okay, so I'm going to start with, let's see, 4 times as many as the resource books. So I'm going to say 1 chunk for the resource books, and then that would be 4 then for fiction. Let's say R for resource. And there's 4 times as many fiction books, so that gets 4 of them. 3, 4, F for fiction, F. And then half as many nonfiction books as fiction books. Okay, half as many. So I have 4 fiction, so that's 2 nonfiction, and N for nonfiction. And then we know that this whole thing is 1,400 books. So now we're going to draw 2 more tape diagrams, one to represent the number of fiction books and one to represent the number of resource books. Well, I'm going to kind of rip off the idea I had before. So for fiction books, I'm going to give it 4 chunks. And then for resource books, boom, little one. So what variable should we use throughout the problem? I'm going to say B for books. So write the relationship between the resource books and fiction books algebraically. Let's add a few more variables then. So we'll have R for resource, F for fiction, N for nonfiction. So in this problem, we have some F and some R. So we know that for every 1 R, there's 4 B. So fiction would equal 4 R. Because for every 1 resource, there's 4 fiction. So that's how we would demonstrate that relationship algebraically. F equals 4 times R. Now if I'm going to draw a tape diagram for the nonfiction books, I'm going to do just like I did earlier and give it 2 chunks. And I did that because I know it's half as many as the fiction section. I'm going to say half as many as F. So if we want to represent that algebraically, we could say N for nonfiction equals 1/2 F, or N equals F over 2. Those would both be correct. So here's our whole tape diagram again. We've got our fictions, 4 of them. We've got our non-fictions, our resource. So let's think about our tape diagram for an equation. So how many chunks do we have? Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chunks. And R is just the 1. So R is 1/7 of the whole. So we could say the entire tape diagram is 7R. And we know that that equals 1,400. So let's determine what the value of R is. Well, let's rewrite our equation. 7R equals 1,400. I want to get R by itself, so I guess I'd better divide by 7. Now I have R equals 200. Kaboom! Well, how many fiction books are in the library? Well, we knew that F equals 4R. And now we know that R is 200. So let's rewrite it with the new information. F equals 4 times 200. And so our final step is now we know F equals 800. How about nonfiction? Well, if we look at our tape diagram, we know that nonfiction equals 2R, or we could also say it equals half of F. So either way, we could do N equals 2 times 200. So N, nonfiction books, equals 400. We're going to set up a table with 4 columns and label them. So here's my column. So we know that resource books, if there's 1, then that means there's 2 nonfiction, and 4 fiction, and 7 total. So that means if we had 2 resource books, then there'd be 4 nonfiction, and 8 fiction, and our total would be 14. I would like you to figure out how many fiction books are in the library if you have 100 resource books, or how many books are in the library if you have 600 nonfiction books. Once you think you have your answer, raise your hand and I'll come check. Go ahead and find the values for these questions and put your answers here, here, and here. Once you're done, you can start this video and we'll finish up the notes. So does the library have 4 times as many fiction books as resource books? Yes. Does the library have half as many nonfiction books as fiction books? Yes. And in the end, did we add it all up to 1,400? Yes, indeed.